bodies are as unique to bones as Ruth and Brennan.
Without them, we don't have a show.
It's obviously very important to have realistic-looking bodies on our show. And I think a lot of people watch the show for the bodies. I think that's a draw to a lot of people.
Hi, I'm Chris Yeager, and welcome to our studio. I've been working with my brother Kevin for, 20 some odd years. Believe that, that'll be nice. Yeah.
Anytime I need a dead body, those are the go-to guys. They really are brilliant. They're artists. I mean, they really are artists.
They initially wanted skeletons, because the show's called Bones. Her specialty is looking at the bones. They wanted more disgusting bodies. They wanted more goop and blood and all that type of stuff. And so that allowed us to step more into the fleshier bodies and the gross decomp and things like that.
This is a middle-aged male between 170 and 190 centimeters tall. Skeleton is pretty banged up.
A lot of times on the other TV shows that are out there, they'll take an actor and they'll put maybe a prosthetic on them or maybe just some blood. With us, we get to do lots of blood and guts and the skull showing through with an eyeball still hanging out of the eye socket, just weird stuff like that.
The victim has veneers on the maxillary central and lateral incisors. There's reshaping of the gum tissue as well as the underlying bone.
Usually for an episode, we start, they send us the script. We read it over, we go through and we pick out what happens to the dead body. Then we go into a concept meeting. And that's where all the department heads meet. And we all just talk about the show and what needs to take place.
3/4 of the flesh is gone, but the flesh that remains is, gross and goopy and yucky.
We go back to our shop and I meet with the other guys and we just flesh out what's the process, what are the steps that we need to do in order to put this body together.
There's 83 fractures on this body.
How's is it male or female?
It's a male.
Okay.
So the only way the body could have gotten down here is if someone threw it down the laundry chute.
Well, that would seem to suggest homicide.
Yes, it would.
A body is discovered in the laundry room of a hotel in an industrial washer.
If you can imagine what a body would go through in an industrial-sized washer. It's pretty disgusting. It's one of our most disgusting bodies we've ever had.
For this episode, we wanted a little bit more washed out, where the blood had drained away through the rinse cycle. And so we picked our dead body and we just toned it down. We're trying to mute the redness of this particular muscle tissue. So we're going to take a little bit of the silicone here. We colored the silicone a little bit more of a beige, translucent look. As we put that on, it muted the color, but the translucency allowed the red still to come through. So you still get a sense of muscle, but you can also tell that something happened to this body. All the fluids had drained out of it, and there's really not much left.
Oh!
And of course, we had to make the testicle.
That's what I start with pictures of real testicles. I basically start by taking foam, scrap piece of foam, chunk of foam, and I'll just begin to scissor it down. I'll take some of this goop. This is barge cement. It's a contact cement. Very sticky. That's why I'm wearing gloves. And it stinks. The glue is dried, and I kind of banded it all down, so now it's rounded off all the edges that were on it. And I'm going to basically, I coated it in latex, so I'm going to basically take this stuff, sort of wrap it around and give it a skin, just a piece of lead, and I'll shove that in there. That'll give it some weight, so as it rolls, it'll sort of roll like that. Pick the best roller. Whichever testicle rolls the best gets the job.
Okay, can someone just please remove the eyeball?
Humor in the midst of these horrific events is always a good way to cut it.
This is not an eyeball.
What is it?
I'll put it this way, our victim was male.
I don't think we've had a testicle fly out of any place on the show yet, so that's exciting.
Okay, so we're here in the laundry room, which we're going to be putting the body in this large washer. 6 foot diameter is the drum, so we have to have a lot of stuff to dress inside the drum. Then we're going to take another material. This is, again, more of a goop, but it doesn't adhere. It kind of drips. side of the door. Again, just make it disgusting.
Too bad they didn't do them on the delicate cycle, huh?
They're so detailed. It's in between a take, you'll always see the Jaegers kind of coming running in and touching up the body and getting it bloodier and stickier and sweatier, and it's so nasty but fantastic when they're doing it. They're just basting it, kind of like a turkey, before you put it in the oven. It's a huge joy for us to kind of have those guys on here. They're so good at what they do.
Okay, set, and background.
Action.
The skeleton appears to have suffered a great deal of damage in the washer.
Well, that wins the understatement award for today.
All right, going again.
Emily and I were just up there on the platform and we were laughing how we've gotten so used to having bodies around us for the last 5 years together that we'll literally be like sitting around a table with a dead body there talking about lunch and talking about what we're doing next, and you just get so used to it.
I've decided to have a baby. It certainly can gross me out when I'm on set. I've become desensitized over the years, for sure, but things can make you a little queasy.
The victim is Caucasian, and judging by the partially fused epiphyseal union of the clavicle, 19 to 24 years of age.
The first time I was like, I put down a piece of food I had, I was like, that's gross.
I love all the cast members, but the one who has had the most drastic change in her demeanor when it comes to looking at our dead bodies is Emily. And she was just disgusted, did not want to touch the bodies initially.
Acute asymmetrical spinal subluxation, which in life would have been apparent in a pronounced leftward lean. It sometimes hurts me how disgusting they look.
Tamar is always, wow, that's so disgusting, and good job on that way.
Let's break this down as though we aren't in a comic book. The Jaegers are so good, you realize what you're looking at is essentially what we look like on the inside, and it's just, it makes me feel very, very fragile as a human.
There's never been an episode that I've read it on the script and come in and not been completely amazed by what they did.
Victim is male, approximately 30 years of age. Contortion indicates painful death.
Well, after killing 4 teenage girls that we know about, it's just what the doctor ordered.
Some when we arrive at crime scenes, they could be pretty horrific. I think they've become more horrific as the seasons have progressed.
No, I'm not okay. I'm covered in human remains.
I loved the one where Booth and Brennan pull a body out of a dumpster and the skin just goes peeling off of the face, and it was just like, ah, God, that was intense.
Oh, my.
We've had bodies that glowed. We've had bodies that were found in vats of wine, so they were purple.
I directed an episode where the bones were actually foaming and they were deteriorating on the inside, so it was a race against time to try to figure out what was the cause before the bones have actually deteriorated. This year there was one that was just mangled in the back of a Aston Martin. They opened up the trunk and he was just kind of stuffed in there. Pretty realistic, nasty looking.
There was the outhouse episode where some guy sits down, of course, and the outhouse blows up, and then we find a dead body in the fun part of the outhouse. The episode that creeped me out the most was Mayhem on the Cross. It's just gross, gross, gross that they were toting around this real skeleton and putting him up on stage, and they're actually based on real people, which is really scary.
The girl on the cardboard was really great, very disgusting, and also gave us all those great pizza jokes.
Secret is the crust, all in the crust.
Does this relate to our victim at all?
Well, this is basically how we get the pizzas out of the oven, and every pie was perfect. Everybody ready?
This is so far out of my job description, it's not even funny.
You know, you look at them and you figure, okay, now what's funny about this one? As long as it's not me, it's funny.
And they had to, like, go as far as giving her a nice set of pumps. Why would they keep those? It was so nasty.
Writing staff comes up with just fantastic ideas for these bodies, and then we have to implement them. You know, we embellish them, of course. The Christmas episode, we enhanced that a lot. We even had an eyeball coming toward camera. I think they're pretty memorable.
This is definitely a show about relationships. It's about all the characters and how they interact as they try to solve these murders. And it's the bodies that actually bring these characters together. It gives them their mission for each show. That's kind of neat because we make the very thing that brings our characters together.
All the corpses seem to be a challenge to me, but somehow Chris makes it look effortless.
I think the writers think of ways to gross people out every week, and the Jaegers make it happen.
5 seasons later, when you think we can't do better, they've upped the ante, and I think this is probably the best season so far.
It's really about the people. That's what really makes this show special. This is fun work, and I've really enjoyed working on Bones.